This podcast is brought to you by Adelaide. Media verification and measurement are undergoing major disruption. Legacy players are pivoting to performance advertising, AI is reshaping brand safety, and attention is replacing viewability. Adelaide is leading this shift with AU, a new way to assess media quality that scores placements based on their potential to drive attention and outcomes before your ads run. Think of it like a credit score for media. Finally, a clear view of quality before you buy. Take the guesswork out of your investment strategy and try Adelaide AU on your next campaign. Welcome to Marketecture, where you can get smart fast with in-depth interviews with leading technology executives. I'm Ari Paparo, and I'm joined today by Andy Batkin. Andy is the CEO of Curation Media, and he is here to announce a brand new offering called Curation Media. So we're excited to hear about it. Andy, thank you for joining us.
Ari, it is always great to see you. Two OGs hanging out for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the alternative name for my podcast. Two OGs hanging out. All right. Tell me, what is Curation Media?
Well, it's interesting question because it actually is what we've been doing for the last 7 years. I founded Curation Media in 2018 with a goal of establishing it as a global ad tech software company. And we built real-time viewability ad tech that was so innovative, we actually received 2 patents on that enables us to detect and measure viewability in real time, that for hundreds of publishers globally in EMEA, US, APAC, et cetera, we actually create incremental inventory and revenue that we have been delivering to the marketplace, but through intermediaries, through the SSPs. So when we actually detect that an ad is in view, we offer our multiple demand sources the ability to bid on these, what are always highly viewable, highly attentive, highly performant inventory, as well as sustainable. We could talk about that.
Yeah. So Curation has been, in a sense, curating inventory keyed off of viewability.
That's correct. That's the key aspect. One performance advertiser said to us a few weeks ago is that I have to keep buying ads from you guys because if people don't see my ad, they can't click on.
That's always been the argument for viewability.
Right.
You can't click on something that's not viewable. Right. So what is Curation Media?
So Curation Media is a unique SSP, a differentiated SSP. It enables us to continue to do what we've been doing for 7 years. But what we're doing now is we're removing the middlemen. We are going direct to DSPs. The market has demanded this. And this is in essence a pivot for us, is to basically do the same thing we've been doing for publishers. And we have always been a publisher-centric company to help publishers curate these incremental inventory and drive new revenues for them, but have the ability to offer buyers a quality supply.
Right.
So we're going to go directly to the DSPs. The DSPs love what we're doing because when we curate an impression at a publisher and we offer it to our DSPs, it's going to be one bid request instead of what Jounce Media says is 135 bid requests for each and every one of the multiple trillions of auctions that occur. So we are truly a differentiated SSP where we will provide unique supply and only unique supply to just a select group of DSPs.
Okay, so which DSPs are currently integrated?
Well, we're just in the process of doing that. We'll be announcing who those partners are shortly, but they are names that you would certainly recognize.
Right. So it's interesting. This is sort of anti-curation. You're called Curation Media, but what you're doing is going direct instead of the classic definition of curation, which is adding data on somebody else's SSP. Can you kind of square the circle on how this fits into the curation narrative?
Well, we think it starts with supply. And the curation of a quality inventory is really what we're focused on. You could have all the great data in the world, right? But if the impression that you're targeting is not viewable, does not have high attention scores, that doesn't deliver performance and outcomes, and we think sustainability is also a very key component of that, and has to be efficient. And that's what the market wants. So we're focused on curating the supply. And our new term is what we're going to create scarcity at scale. We are going to create billions of these impressions, but there'll be a finite amount of them. There won't be an infinite amount of these impressions.
Scarcity at scale. That really is that's a fun one. So you're direct with publishers. From an ads.text perspective, do you know, are you listed as direct? Or are you listed as a reseller?
Yes. And that's the other thing is that publishers today, we're just as bad or as the culprit, of the multiple duplicate bid requests, aspect. And the reason why the market is, asking for, supply path optimization is we have 24 lines of ads.txt, right? And those publishers that we have relationships with for years, those that are just now putting our tech, on their site, and those that are committed to the launch, will enable us to curate billions of these highly viewable, highly attentive, efficient, high performant, and sustainable impressions.
Right. What about on the buy side? So you mentioned DSPs. Are you talking to agencies and advertisers directly, and what extent are you curating within the curated media exchange?
Well, that's a great question because the agencies and brands have inclusion lists, and what we're working on with a number of those buyers are. Here's the inclusion list. So let's say an agency has, 1,000 sites. We are going to those 1,000 sites and saying this agency wants to surface this quality inventory that will enable them to buy the best impressions only on the sites that they want to buy on. So when you think about it from a publisher pitch, if you were a publisher and I came to you and said, this agency wants to buy these kinds of impressions, put this technology on your site and we'll curate this incremental inventory that will deliver as a one bid request to this DSP, and they will buy these impressions on behalf of that agency. So there isn't a publisher who says no to that.
Right.
One thing I want to make clear on the SSP side, we're not in the header. So we're not resurfacing or reselling or offering for sale any of the impressions that the publisher actually creates themselves.
Okay.
What our tech does is it enables us to see that an ad is in view, and then we offer our DSPs the opportunity to bid on an ad that replaces that particular ad that is sitting there.
Oh, that's interesting. So you have code on the page, but it's not going through the normal flow of the header to the ad server. Instead, it's kind of sniping the impressions and running an auction as soon as they become visible.
Right, and because what we do is we have the work with the publisher to set KPIs. So we say, okay, let's have that ad be in view for 30 seconds, and we want 90% of the pixels to be in view. And here's where our real-time viewability technology comes in, is that we have the ability to detect when that ad has hit the page, and then what percentage of the pixels are in view, and then what the duration of time that ad is in view. And when it meets those KPIs, we then have the ability to offer that impression or the opportunity to buy that impression, which is always 90% plus viewable, has high attention scores, is removing multiple bid requests. We're taking 135 bid requests down to 7. So we'll be able to then quantify with third parties how much carbon is actually being removed from the ecosystem. And because of all of this, these are impressions that deliver high performance and outcomes, which is ultimately what advertisers want.
Does the ad ultimately get served by the publisher's ad server, or do they have a count in the publisher ad server? Because you're effectively after the publisher ad server has made a decision.
We actually take over the impression. So either we serve it or the DSP or the agency, or there's a third party ad server, let's put it that way, right? That serves the app. And then all of the third party measurement comes in if they're using IAS or double verify. Lumen for attention, and ultimately measuring the outcomes, whether it be conversions, clicks, ROAS, et cetera.
But what happens to the original ad that isn't shown?
The original ad, if there's a new ad, is that what you're asking? Yeah,
if there's a new ad, what happened to the ad that would have been selected?
It literally lays over the existing ad. So that first ad was in view for 30 seconds. Our industry, is crazy. The fact that an ad could be in view, 50% of an ad can be viewed for 1 second and it counts as a viewable ad is insane, right? So as a part of the quality, we want to make sure that an ad is in view for a length of time that has the opportunity to increase brand awareness or to have the ad clicked on, whatever the KPIs are.
But, I see. So the original ad is shown and then the new ad is shown as well. So let's go back to curation. So this seems a little bit anti-curation, even though the company's called Curation Media. How do you see what I think of curation, that market playing out, where you have an SSP and you have a third party, adding data or adding targeting info to that? Do you see that as continuing as a trend?
Well, listen, data is important, right? We know that in talking to the DSPs, we become more of a friend of the DSPs versus a competitor, right? Because we're curating these quality impression where they now have the ability to target using their data sources, really put them back into that margin business that the sell side curation players have been taking from them. So that's part of the embrace of the DSPs, is that we're showing them unique supply that is incredibly that is quality. And giving them the ability to use their data to be able to target versus a middleman or one of the sell side partners.
DSPs, meanwhile, are doing their own curation, bringing inventory together on their platform. So, how does this relate to that?
Well, the beauty of our technology is that the impressions that we offer them didn't exist a nanosecond ago. So we're curating billions of incremental impressions that always have the attributes of high viewability, high attention, high performance and outcomes, and are sustainable, right? That are actually removing bid requests from the ecosystem. So they know when they're bidding on these impressions. Matter of fact, some of the DSPs saying, we don't need to have a deal ID with you. We know every impression that you're going to deliver to us is going to have those attributes. So those that have self-serve, platforms need a deal ID because those are using it need to identify that these are those quality impressions.
Right.
So got it. Helping the DSPs find the impressions, the best quality impressions that they can find on the web.
All right, so let's do a quick sort of lightning round, some relatively quick questions, relatively quick answers. What is your greatest challenge?
Our greatest challenge is that when we use the 3 letters of SSP, people look at us and say, well, why would we need another SSP in a multiple and duplicative, market? In an undifferentiated market is probably the best way. And so we have to clearly describe that we are differentiated. We are curating unique supply to the marketplace. And again, we've been doing this for 7 years. The DSP has been buying our impressions, billions of them, right? And the SSPs, of course, have been the middlemen who've been sending those to the DSPs. So I think, from a publisher standpoint, we have to clarify that we're not in the header. We're not trying to resell your impressions. We're only offering the impressions that we curate for you that didn't exist before.
All right. And what's your biggest competitive advantage?
I think the competitive advantage is the fact that we are differentiated. The DSPs reacted incredibly well to this pitch of offering unique supply. We are, from what I can see, the only SSP that will offer a unique supply of only highly viewable, high attention, sustainable impressions that deliver high performance and outcomes.
Right. And why won't the big guys like Google and other people just reproduce this?
I have nightmares about that every day. Yeah. I often said, we're a Google certified publisher partner, one of only 120 some odd in the world. I often wonder why Google hasn't done, try to recreate. Now we have patents, so maybe that's a deterrent, but I think the key answer is they optimize for scale, right? What we do is we optimize for quality. So, we have, as I mentioned before, we've been curating these impressions and Google buys them. The Trade Desk buys them. It's an interesting story about the Trade Desk is that many years ago, they tossed out resellers, right? And we went back to them and said, well, the nomenclature is wrong for us. We're classified as a reseller, but here are the impressions that we curate and look at the quality of what they are. And they put us back on the buy list, right? So, we think there's a real opportunity here to build a huge business. And to work, with the DSPs directly is probably the best way to do that.
All right. And, last question, if Duration Media or Curation Media was an animal, what animal would it be?
Wow. What are your best questions?
It's always, we ask the question every time, so you got to come prepared.
I would say a tiger. That's what
okay. So when is Curation Media going to be available and how do you get it?
Well, we're launching on this podcast today. Your audience is the first, to learn about this.
Oh, wow. Exclusive here at Marketecture.
Yes, it is exclusive from Architecture. Our website will be curationmedia.net, and people can go and find out if you're a publisher and want to sign up, or if you're an advertiser and want to find out more about how we can work together, especially with your inclusion list, to be able to go to those sites and help you buy the best quality impressions you can buy only on the sites you want to buy. And we'd love to work with both the buyers and the sellers, which again, we've been doing for 7 years.
All right. Andy Batkin of Duration Media and now Curation Media. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Ari.
Thank you for listening to the Marketecture Podcast. New episodes come out every Friday, and an insightful vendor interview is published each Monday. You can subscribe to our library of hundreds of executive interviews at marketecture.tv. You can also sign up for free for our weekly newsletter with my original strategic insights on the week's news at news.marketecture.tv. And if you're feeling social, we operate a vibrant Slack community that you can apply to join at adtechgod.com.